Looks like there's not any ads now. Hi. Hi. Let's start. Almost there. Actually, hold on. We're gonna do one thing first. Did I do my daily? Yes. Yeah, whatever.
피를 머금을 시간이네.
Need some more stuff for Isang.
이만하면 순항이죠. 바람도 딱 좋네.
한 점만 노린다.
Ah,
좋아. 순탄하구만. 좋다. 좋아.
not nearly enough.
이 공격은 꽤 먹혀든 것
지원한다.
같아요. 합격점.
완벽한 한방. 시원한 걸.
근방의 싸움 우수했어.
Didn't mean to do that. Is it really?
퍼레이드 중에는 말 걸지 않는 게 좋겠지.
It's being really finicky in the intervallo for some reason. That's weird.
효과적이네요. 이 방식을 기억하는 게 좋겠어요. 이 혈투 승리로 이끌.
Sorry about that.
점 찍었네.
Oh, come on. You could. Oh, that worked.
비뚤어졌구려. 사선이 비었어요.
공로 지원한다.
Yay.
사냥이 성공적이었네요. 이 흐름대로 사냥을 끝내러 가보자. 꿰뚫려라.
적확한 한압이었어. 아까처럼만 그런 걸 쉽게 갈 수 있을 거야. 움직임이 어설퍼요.
금방 끝내고 버스로 돌아갈 승리로 이끌 테지.
점 찍었네.
한 번 휘두른 걸로 이렇게 나? 완전 멋있는 걸?
먼저 빠진다.
고른 목록
아버이를 향한 죄책감도 피를 마시는 순간에는 생각나지 않을 거다. 그러니 가릴 것 없이 마음껏 마셔.
I hate top chat
우리가
on
이룰 수
YouTube. It's
있는
so dumb.
유일한 꿈이니까.
Oh. Gonna have to pick something else, I think. Pick something else. Are they fighting? Don't know. Fun. Each unit defeats the Peckinum that has taken their shape once. That tells me it's the NV ones.
책임은
관리인가 아니면 죽음 충동 억제 관념 봉인.
I'll do that. Verily, nigh is the time for young Yi Sang and I to face the test. The nature of our trial shall take form as Pectula Invitae. Assume that we all have a first-hand experience with static shocks. Ho, doth static shock have aught to do with envy? One who's been subject to both static shock and the envy of others must know that the latter stings in the same manner as the former does. I ill comprehend thine explanations. I see. To explain in plainer example, Miss Don Quixote, you have always been fond of and held great respect for the illustrious color fixtures, am I correct? Verily, I should be second to none were my passion for them to be measured. Now imagine yourself at a convention of sorts, in which the said illustrious color fixtures are holding an event to disseminate their autographs, and imagine that you are part of the excited queue. Oh, indeed, I have mentally prepared place myself there. Proceed. Yet, in great misfortune, the event comes to a close, mere moments before you are to receive your autograph. Act for woe, fate playeth such cruel jest on my pitiful soul. Now, do imagine what sort of emotion would you feel for the fellow fan who received the final autograph immediately before you were to receive yours? The chance was robbed. Well, 'twould be quite the jealousy running within mine heart, a painful tingling sensation. Ah, you certainly enjoy explaining things, don't you? I suppose all scholars are kindred spirits, after all. You two, quit the chin wag and get in there. Verily, then onward to a new adventure. Then I shall follow. That's really awkward with no sound. They're both Blade lineage. Aha. Stop. Dawn, holy shit. Oh, he has sun shower too. List 15% damage dealt and taken. Gotcha. Holy shit. Why are they so fast? The actual fuck.
나아가주게. 편히 쉬시게. 편히 쉬시면 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
Okay, yeah, that didn't count.
나아가주게.
Oh,
네가 말했던 벌이
잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
then W Corp. That's so unlikely. I'm just gonna give up. Hold on. Let's try that again. Try it again. Try it again.
깨어진 거울 가운데
Yeah, yeah.
죽어가는 나비를 보고 있어. 에도의 죽음 충동 억제. 관념 봉인.
I countered a bug where the sound disappeared. Love that. Don't know why that happened.
에도에 잡담이 끼어드는 것은 좋지 않소. 나아가주게.
What? Are you kidding me? Come on.
깨어진 거울 가운데 죽어가는 나비를 보고 있어. 애도의 임무가 내게 있으나
좁은 곳이 좋겠어.
Excuse me.
나아가 주게.
This is much better.
쉬시게. 편히 쉬시면 잠든 그대를 기릴 테니.
항복하겠는가?
나아가 주게.
유쾌한 결투였네.
There we go. Completed before it needed to be. Perfect. Excuse me, Finland.
저 시시게. 유쾌한 결투였네.
No, you sang. Oh man. Yeah, there you go.
저 시시게. 유쾌한 결투였네.
Mission was completed, Hohenheim. Shush.
하하, 보람차군. 그대들도 뛰어났네만 내가 조금 더 나았군.
Can't deploy Don Quixote. This is so dumb.
나를 못 본 척하고 있어주게. 곧 탈출한 환상체가 이쪽에 관심을 보이면 내가 망치로 한 번에 제압할 테니.
Oh. The researcher ran after the giggling blue fairy, only realized that he had walked into an unfamiliar place. He whipped around, realizing his mistake, only to see that the door locked behind him. Oh no, the door is locked behind you, hasn't it? It seems that you have found yourself mired in my tricks again. child let out a light chuckle before gloating at the researcher who was lured in by his ego gear. Boss, he sang, for the 7th time. Can you please stop using your ego gear for pranks like this? I swear I keep getting scared that I just walked into an actual abnormalities den. My apologies. The report must be compiled by the end of the day today, yet I am availed but 2 hands of mine to complete it. Yeah, and guess how many hands I've got? 2. And I must ask for your understanding, for the longer an ego gear remains equipped, the greater the synchronization of the user and the source abnormality. For an instance, these gears are made to transform and change with the fluctuations in the level of attunement betwixt the wearer and the source. I have not the nature of the deception. It is but the manifestation of the gear's effects. Well then take it off from time to time, will you? Yet how shall I, as a proper researcher? This department of Limbus Company focuses on the study of abnormalities and distortions, coupled with managing enkephalin extraction. They are called the LCE. Perhaps it is inevitable that an occupation dedicated to the study of what are essentially monsters would invite a sundry of oddball personalities, but it was particularly pronounced for this department. Oh yeah? If you gotta slowly lose yourself to be a proper researcher, then what does that make me? Well, that is not what I had intended to convey. To get straight to the point, this child was one of those oddballs. Fully geared up in his ego gear all day, clocking into work even on his off days, truly an incomprehensible individual. It is merely by need that it must remain on me at all times, for this research report concerns this fellow. Besides, it may be put to use for one such purpose as well, and... Man, I should put in a transfer request to a different zone. I swear you better watch your back once I get my own ego gear. Very well. Perhaps it shall be understood, my perspective, in no time. Ah, shush. Just tell me what I gotta do. He despised the child's overbearing trickery so much. He couldn't simply turn around and leave. But he could have simply turned around and left, but he did not. Well, perhaps it was that he simply could not. I must ask you to review the files from AFQ 155564 to 30000 and rearrange them in order. Are you sure that's doable in a day? Anything can be made possible should we put our minds to it. It's literally on all physical levels impossible. The researcher finally exploded at the child. I mean, what the hell were you thinking? Making a locking mechanism like that? What could possibly be the purpose of a door that locks from the inside but can't be reopened until a certain amount of work is complete? For reasons ascribable to our human births, the time may come in which we are faced with an ostensibly insurmountable wall that's breaking our wills. Yet, we're ones to be surrounded by walls, given no choice but to crawl oneself out of. Yeah, okay, great. Just don't drag other people into your problems. I probably have some other responsibilities I should be working on today, so... No. You did not have any other responsibilities. What? Tap. For a moment, it was as though the office was hit by a blackout. Then an ominous red light began to flash. Warning, abnormality, containment breach, code red, area, office wing, lane C. Huh? This has to be the trumpets, the audio warning that a degree of danger, such as an abnormality, containment breach, has occurred at the facility. The LCE department, the group that has absorbed much of Lobotomy Corporation, has maintained this practice. It doesn't sound exactly the same, however. Isn't this the first trumpet? The researcher looked around nervously, taken by surprise. But the child began gravely, as though he had been expecting this to happen. You were also an excellent researcher. Indeed, even on the days you weren't on duty, you would come into the office diligently composing abnormality experiment reports. It must have been quite exciting for you as an opportunity to wear the Ego Gear prototype of this abnormality was yours. The corner of the child's Ego Gear began to pulse and twist, growing into the form of a massive mallet. It stood before the confused researcher with a vague expression that could have been either sorrow or determination. What are you even talking about? Actually, forget that. There's been an abnormality containment breach. We're stuck in here thanks to your stupid lock mechanism. My lock mechanism opens under one of the following two conditions. 1. When my work is complete. 2. When an abnormality within the office has been dealt with. The latter must be fulfilled now, it seems. It has been a fortnight since the expungement of your records. In the process of raising the attunement levels for the report, your resonance with the gear was broken, and you were devoured, having become a lure yourself. Thereafter, you were a part of the abnormality itself, forced to amble hither and thither within the interiors of this department. I was? The child nodded gravely. His dour expression was hardly a surprise. The child had been fond of him. He was one of the very few junior researchers that had been training to become a full-fledged researcher. You had never been one to establish a high level of resonance with that gear. What had lured him so, I wonder, to insist that he be the one to test it? So I am bereft of choices but to use every hour of my existence to understand this ego and the abnormality. It is about time that you are henceforth laid to rest. Wouldn't you agree? Oh. The hammer was swung, and the abnormality shrouded within leapt out of his skin like a geyser. The child continues to swing the hammer again and again to complete this tragic abnormality suppression, so commonplace in all companies that deal with abnormalities. Totally not confusing. LCE ego lantern, lobotomy ego lantern. Totally not confusing. No, only 38.
그러든가.
원하신다.
지정 보호 구역에.
밧줄.
자, 이번엔 어떤 실험인가요?
주먹으로 매만.
연구 보고회인가 아니면 탈출인가?
Yeah, I know.
정신을 유지할 수 있기를.
Not gonna use Yi-Sang. The foundation that led to this disaster was laid by none other than Yi-Sang, whose only sin was making an innocent, tragically casual comment. Sometime after we ran our final tests. " Please vacate the room. Clean up coming through." Apologies, Miss Don Quixote has ought to. Prithee, avail me but a moment. The shoelaces upon Rocinante have come undone. What? How? I remember tying that like 7 different knots on your shoes. Yet 'twere quite the hideous access. Sorry to be forced upon Rocinante. I have tied one of them once again in the shape of a ribbon. Yeah, the knots didn't look that great. Ribbons are cute. Oh boy. Yet one must begin to wonder about the consequences of Miss Don Quixote freeing her feet from Rocinante at her present state. Whatever art thou suggesting? Rocinante is none other than mine eternal steed, bound to me by fate itself. None shall ever dare sever the bond betwixt us. It was a query posed towards Miss Faust, yet I appreciate your answer all the same. My Faust's reply was what set fire upon the rather combustible foundation. I cannot know. What? An obvious outcome, given that no relevant data has been collected. Well then, no time like the present to get collected, huh? Good thing we're in a lab too. Where else are we going to get another chance to do that? This course of action is highly inadvisable. Yeah, sounds like a bad idea to me. I heard all kinds of horrible stuff happened on the train the moment her shoes came off. Sure did. But 'twas but an independent decision called by Rocinante itself due to certain extreme circumstances that had naught to do with mine will. Well, potato, potato. I was already quite aware that the core of that individual may as well lie in her pair of running shoes. Fine on thee. Thou shalt treat a person such as I some useless shell. What if we slipped her shoes off and on again really quickly? The standards here at the LC department demand precise measurements. In other words, these tests would be meaningless if all we are measuring is a hollow shell. A hollow shell. We have indulged your predictable provocations enough, Hohenheim. It seems necessary to remind you that you have not yet received the full report of what transpired during that incident. In other words, you are risking the occurrence of an unexpected event. You concern yourself unnecessarily. The construction of my laboratory boasts rather solid build. Not even abnormalities on the more powerful side of things can puncture holes in its walls. Oh, very well. I will not force your hand. However, due to your unwillingness, I am behooved to record as such in my research journal. Due to concerned Sinner's utterly terrified reaction at the prospect of having to remove her shoes, I must unfortunately leave only a half-complete test result here. Utterly terrified? Terrified? And for your information, these research reports are stored for at least a decade. Yes, we will have possession of a full record of your plain cowardice for at least 10 years. Outcome not applicable. Reason subject was too scared to participate. After much contemplation, I have come to conclude that dearest Rocinante deserveth a moment of respite as well. And I, Don Quixote, shall demonstrate before thee that Don Quixote is still Don Quixote in her core still, without Rocinante's assistance. Are you sure this is a good idea, Faust? Hohenheim, if your employment at Limbus Company ever comes to an unalliterated termination, I suppose the cause would be rather apparent. Your highly irresponsible level of curiosity. Not a good idea. Got it. That would be my greatest honor as a researcher. Hey, if anything goes wrong, Yi Sang will be on the ready to slip those shoes right back on your feet at a moment's notice, okay? I shall be at the ready. Behold me not with such excessive anticipation all. There shan't be any new revelations here. Don Quixote begins to untie her shoes, seething. This 7-layered knot poseth quite the difficulty. Young Ishmael, wherefore hast thou tied these cords with such unwavering tightness? I was hoping they'd be the last knot those shoelaces would ever tie. Of course. There we go. Rest thee well, Rocinante. For the sinners and I were all quite nervous, but none of us stepped forward to stop this experiment. Why didn't we stop this? Was it because we thought we knew removing Rocinante doesn't necessarily mean that she'll be losing control? Because we saw its effects on the warp train and La Mancha Land? Or was it because we assumed that Rocinante was now just a disguise, and now that Don Quixote has accepted her past as Sancho, removing it wouldn't affect her psyche at all? Whichever was the case, it was a mistake to ignore that nagging feeling. These researchers don't know what facing Don Quixote, Sancho, the second kindred, is like. We do. Mother. Oh, Mother. Our existence is death in perpetuity. Complete us, fill our hunger. We pray unto you, fill us with the blood of humans, with the blood of humans. Yeah. The teeming, shouting voices suddenly began to echo in my head. They're the voices of all the children he had embraced. Or perhaps this was the blood fiend's instinct given voice, imprinted upon them at the moment of their birth. Proliferate this disease, embrace this unending hunger for blood, and propagate the family. So many voices, so much yearning, so much desire. Every single kindred that has ever existed in the past kneels before Don Quixote. Oh, dearest mother, as your children, when shall we be permitted to quench this thirst for blood? I must drink blood. I have to drink all the blood that the family deserve to drink. I must. Dante, wake up. Ain't this a lot like the last time at that building where the fire on his head suddenly exploded? I have to. I gotta get a hold of myself. Thirst. My body can't even feel thirsty. It doesn't make any sense. I'm okay. I'm okay now. What did you see, Dante? If we want to bring Don Quixote back, we're going to need to quench her thirst somehow. We need something to satiate the combined thirst, desire of every single kindred. That's not good. You keep any blood in here? Let's at least try to quench what's... yeah, we have some blood samples if you need them. Damn it, have you been listening to what the executive manager's been saying? It's the combined thirst of every single kindred. A few blood samples aren't going to do anything. So you're going to sit there and do nothing? Ain't this just a matter of getting her shoes back on? Right, Yi-sang, shoes, get those shoes back on her feet. I cannot, a bizarre wall of pressure surrounds her. This is one luxury cig, good flavor. I brought those luxury cigarettes with our last bonus pay. These readings are incredible, so much power, even a state like that. For all intents and purposes, complete emaciation. What, you egged her on knowing this would happen? I had many outcomes in mind. Some were quite similar to this, but this is beyond even the most extreme of my predictions. How the fuck are you so calm about this? You got to do something. You haven't even seen how hard the last hits. What would be the use of panicking now if the outcome does not align with the predictions? The first course of action would be to analyze the given data. However, it doesn't seem like our containment measures will be the answer here. Thus, the task of stopping her seems to fall straight onto all of you. Time for us to pay the price of curiosity. God. Every 3% of missing HP on self, gain offense level up. Gain 1 min max speed next turn for every 30 blood feasts. This unit's HP cannot be reduced below 60.
놈은 똑똑했다. 옛날에 조직에서 싸울 때도 두뇌파로 척을 다 밀어버리는 놈이 있었지.
아군 대열이 무너졌다. 재정비를 해보는 게 좋아.
당신의 판단을 따를게요. 이래선 걱정만
I wonder if this is a force loss. It might be.
감내해야 할 고통.
Considering it can't go below 60%.
잠시 무릎 꿇는 것을 두려워하지 마시게. 침 바르면 낫는다네. 이건 좀 과했네. 위험인물 발견. 제압할게요. 완벽한 한방. 시원한 걸.
지원 요청을
첩첩산중이로군. 뿔뿔이 흩어지는 것보다는 돌아가 새로운 길을 모색하는 것이 낫지 않겠는가, 관자.
떨거지는 잘라낸다.
끝까지 함께 싸울 수 있을 거라 생각했어.
Come on.
가면은 쉬운 채로 죽여. 나도 하니까 닥쳐. 어보이시오. 당신은 이런 상황에서 어떤 선택을 했을까요? 이런 걸 겪었던 분 아니시지? 자, 아직 끝을 모르는 법이네.
모든 결과들은 하우스트가 알아요.
그 삶의 마침표를.
효과적이네요. 이 방식을 기억하는 게 좋겠어요. 대가리 딱 떼고.
He sang no. It's not gonna be enough because there's a shield there.
깨어져라.
Not even close to enough.
보고 싶다. 일렁이는 하늘.
그 어떤 모험에도 위기가 없던 적은 없었네. 그러나 이야기의 끝에는 언제나 승리뿐이었지. 그렇네. 바로 우리들의
Look, I
이야기지.
need to use Bina's thing for this. That sucks.
어쩌면 잘된 일일지도 모르겠어.
어쩔.
의뢰인가요? 먼저 준비하고 있을게요. 연구 보고회인가?
He's saying is the last one. Don't care.
최선을 다할게요.
We got this. Come on, let's go. Try number 2. Yippee!
이만하면 순항이죠. 바람도 딱 좋네.
Just a heads up for everybody, there will be an ad starting in about 4.5 minutes on Twitch. If you don't want to see any ads, there you can subscribe or get Twitch Turbo. If we get to a story bit, I will be pausing.
위험 인물 발견. 제압할게요.
Oh shit. Oh fuck. Oh, this no. Wonderful. Crap.
이번에는 공격하실
Thing is, I don't think I can. Now this will be out. Crap.
대가리 딱 떼고. 저 밑에
Otis, you suck.
나를 부르는
Swear. Oh, come on, Rhodia. Ah. Girl, come on. Oh. Thank you, Gregor. Holy shit. Did someone die? Two people did. I swear, it sucks. Holy shit. Why did it go down?
전투 중이니까 짧게
Oh, 'cause two people died. Is that it?
짧게 부탁드릴게요.
Yeah, two people died, so they're... Fuck. I hate this. Hi, Lucatin, who touched her shoes? She did. She took her shoes off.
곧 감미로운 트럼펫
Fuck me.
비명 소리가 들릴 거다. 잘나신 관리자 놈이 수습하겠다고 또 난리를 피울 테지.
I'm gonna do this real quick. Make myself feel better. Hold on. Slash. Oh, did it change over, actually? It did. Hold on. Let me do my dailies real quick.
애도의 시간이고.
I hate it here. Holy.
먼저 끝내고 돌아오는 친구는 맛있는 거 사줄게. 물론 회사카드로.
무지를 열어줬지라.
육청.
원더풀한 선택이었어 나리.
나중에
저들의 약점이 뻔히
새겨드리죠.
보이는 게로군. 먼저 끝내고 돌아오는 친구는 맛있는 거 사줄게. 물론 회사카드로.
겁날. 내게 받쳐주지.
감을 좀
살을 베어내고
찢어 발겨주마.
기회를 잡았네. 희청이는 저자를 꺾어 넘긴다면 저들의 사기가 떨어질 것이
목을
뻔하지.
내놓고 있도록.
돌격하세.
왜 안에 갇혀주고. 좋다. 좋아. 여기 집중하지. 엽석이군. 여기가 엽석이군.
이런 건 몽둥이가 약이지. 쭉 두드려 패.
밝게 열어젖힌다.
이를 깎는다.
저기는 땅에 떨어졌네. 이제 우리를 누가 막겠는가?
벤던 사월을 건너고. 이제 하늘을 찔러.
눈 감을 좀.
조금 더 과감하게.
하나 눕혀. 잡혔네. 이렇게 눕혀가다 보면
끝내주겠어.
밤새 끝나는 게 싸우는 거지.
벤담 사월을 건너
완벽한 한방. 시원한 걸.
이래서
육창
걱정 마.
골단
I actually had it go off though. Let's go.
훌륭하오. 이외에
전투를
특별히 첨언할 이유도
하고 있는 건 아니겠지.
방금 전에는 굉장했다고.
목을 내놓고
Killer.
그 인간도 이건 인정할 거야.
Thank you.
꿈을 꾸러가도
승부수가 먹혀들었군. 판세는 완벽히 우리에게 있었다.
It's gonna skip. I don't feel like doing this right now.
이 기세를 잃지 않.
제압되었구려. 다만 좀 지체된
Actually, a wonderful idea I have just had. I only changed it because of they were they were feeding into Dawn's thing because it uses the blood feast. So I needed to change them. Though
지정 보호 구역에 불청객을 맞이할 시간인가.
자. 이번엔
의뢰.
화점
지위를 받는 건 오래 연구 보고회인가 아니면
it's probably better.
줄인가. 어머.
Because then he can bring somebody back, I think. I don't remember what's the requirement, but it shouldn't be that hard.
자, 동료들이여. 자세를 갖추고
5
저들을
purple, that's
맞이하세.
not that bad.
우리를 가로막는 저 시련을 해치우고
Pervia, activate.
호흡을 향하여.
Yeah, that's the issue, is there's the chance for corroding. What does it roll? 25. Excuse me. $27, sorry. I think I need to, which is the issue. Purple, guys. I need purples.
가르쳐주지.
Yes, it worked.
종원, 조명이 전멸하는 저곳으로. 파도가 모든 것을 쳐부술 거다.
Yeah, it's fine. There we go. Now she's winning. That's better.
불결한 관리자님, 역시 저는 생각하지 못하는 방법을 떠올리시는군요.
She evened out back to 0. Why did she even out back to 0? Odd. Am I That can, yep. Everyone else hits their things. Shouldn't be that bad.
이 땅과 만인에게 손끝이라도 대려는 자가 있다니.
Come on. Yes. It's much better. Yoshu almost losing. 1-1. Wonderful. Hahaha. Horse time. Ooh.
걱정 마시오. 최고의 흉기 하나만 남아있다면 생명은 어떻게라도 보존될 테니.
Should be fine. Should be low enough that they won't roll enough heads on that with Faust, hopefully. Oh, almost.
바람도 딱 좋네.
Reawakening Joy of Carnage. 2 SP heal. And it's also, if they're panicking, they just heal, right? Panic, recover, and consume 50 and gain 3 power up. Don't have more salt outs, that's upsetting, but that's fine.
위험인물 발견. 제패기야.
You stand no chance, Sancho. I'm sorry.
이 전투는 승리일 거야.
staggered. Oh. Oh, I got his heads on the second one.
이 방식을
Crud.
기억하는 게 좋겠어요. 최선의 방어를.
이 공격은 꽤 먹혀든 것 같아요.
They can't go below 60% HP is concerning.
두드려 패.
Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, what am I missing? Oh, I'm missing purples. Ooh.
해체어가 진행하겠습니다.
진짜 밝혀주마.
Because I staggered that I didn't have to deal with that. Oh. Oh, fun. I must. I have to be the mother of all of them. Family's thirst. It's. No, my lady, you mustn't be the mother of anyone here. Here. You are a sinner, nothing more. Oh. Thank you, Virgilius! Ah. I will not place the blame of this incident on anyone, Dante. I understand that no one could have expected this outcome, given the dearth of intelligence regarding the binding tool the first kindred had gifted to the third sinner. Well then. I hadn't had that much first-hand experience with watching Virgilius fight, but this was certainly the most exhausted I've seen him after a fight. Ooh. I decided to say nothing and turned the clock. After some time passed. Don Quixote, what happened? Did you lose consciousness, or did something affect your memory? Manager Esquire, my memories were fine. But I heard something as soon as I removed my shoes. Voices, right? Once again, you have witnessed me. Yes, the voices. So many voices. Voices? The voices of my family. But the Bloodfiends of Marchland are all... Sinclair trailed off. Every single Bloodfiend left inside La Land was killed when the amusement park collapsed. In other words, most of Don Quixote's lower kindreds were dead. That is correct. But I cannot well explain how. The only way I might explain this is that it was as though my very blood remembered them still. I recognized some of them, and some were voices of those I once deeply cared for. It seems that I was, against my own desire, made to ascend to my father's seat. Perhaps I always was ever since then. And I was struck not only by my own thirst, but the combined thirst of every single one of the children. Thirst? Indeed. I am also bound by that thirst. It is only natural, because I am a blood fiend. Thus the presence of all Thus the pressure of all broke my hold on sanity, and I hurt you all. As Don Quixote, the blood fiend, a hair kindred. Not as Don Quixote, a sinner and your friend. Don Quixote, this isn't your fault. No, such words are now meaningless. She looked down at her pair of shoes, their strings again neatly tied. The higher office will now be regularly supplying you with artificial blood packs. Hohenheim approached us after spending a while vigorously scribbling something in his notes. The blood substitute will be very similar to the real blood in terms of composition, and we won't have any issue with the supply. I don't suppose you actually believed that mere willpower would be enough to withstand the surge? I have done quite well suppressing it thus far. Indeed, and that was precisely the wick attached to the ticking time bomb within the LCB. Must I remind you that the soundness of this limiter of yours is quite tenuous, as today's events have demonstrated? Is it your implication that the purpose of conducting this reckless experiment was to determine the full extent of the latent danger? I don't know, it seemed like he was in it only to sate his curiosity. Call it merely the auspice of opportune convenience. This risk factor had to be measured sooner or later. Had I known the full extent of the danger she posed, I would have immediately requested a forceful summoning of your department. Of course, as large as this void of unknowns was, we were able to fill it with much new information. Certain analysis can be drawn by comparing the reports regarding blood fiends in this very experiment. Let us discuss the thirst you experienced first. For example, the combined desire of every lower kindred. Indeed, it is true. The Manchegan kindreds have been completely eradicated due to the events at La Mancha Land. The Manchegan... that can't be correct. The Mancha Land kindred, I'm assuming. But you still heard the voices of your children, yes? What are you trying to say? I am to discuss the powerful binding forces contained within blood. LCD's cooperative report explains that blood is not merely a carrier of nutrients, but something more. That it contains certain abstract values as well. We sent in a complaint that the report was far too vague in its wording, and received a reply their on-site investigative reasoning team leader spat out, the contents of which were equally fascinating. This desire of their kind, this thirst, is something that may as well be imbued and imprinted on the familial bloodline. Normally, the weight of that thirst is far too heavy for any individual to bear, which is why they propagate, to bear the unbearable burden together. But considering that all of that desire is not focused unto an individual, on account of the extinction of her entire family line, it is easy to see how her hold on sanity was so easily broken, no matter the strength of her will. She alone was made to bear the responsibility, the pressure, the duty of having to raise the family once again. And because none of those needs are currently met, there comes the endless exuberating thirst, and more thirst. I'm Mexico cheese. It is quite fascinating to see how your kind perceives these very abstract values in the physical form of blood. The mere words thirst does quite the insignificant job of describing the intensity with which you have lost control. This was my oversight, I must admit. I do respect your efforts to be liberated from your nature. I truly do. But I also maintain that it is highly advisable for you to regularly consume the provided blood packs. Understood. But one day I wish to dismount from Rocinante and walk bare of feet and feel the earth under my own skin. I was able to establish one positive fact from this exercise, however. What might that be? That there are those who would, quite literally, throw their lives on the line to stop you even if you were to take off your shoes. In other words, I don't believe that it to be necessary for other departments to exercise any separate control over you. Well, now that I've had a first-hand account of your conditions, I will write the following in the report. Still quite unstable, yet with the effort from the subject herself and the efforts from various other environmental factors, This subject has been deemed sufficiently controllable. Once again, I do respect your efforts, or any kind of effort, really, because I've never had much use for it myself. Don Quixote took a deep breath, then turned to face the sinners. By then, her eyes had regained their usual softer look, but sorrow was seeping through the tone of her voice. Despite her theatrical manner of speech returning, her tone reminded me of our time at La Mancha Land. My deepest apologies, dearest friends. Forsooth, I shall ever persevere to see that Rocinante, my shoes, are never to be removed again. Lass, you're looking at it all wrong. You're going to remove those shoes one day, yeah? And that's what you're going to persevere towards. Verily. I think she let out a brief, quiet laughter. Ah, Manager Esquire, perchance is there aught that thou concealest from my knowledge? Oh, what do you mean? I don't think so. It's no coincidence that at that very moment I noticed Faust looking at in my direction. I don't know if I made the right choice here, but only be free at end of service? I think in 24 to 28 cantos she'll take her shoes off, which should be about when her third canto comes around. If they still do it one per sinner for every single layer, and it's 3 layers, like everyone's been thinking. Because that would be like the perfect time for her to take off her shoes at the latest. I'm also factoring in that we might have cantos for Dante and maybe Virgilius as well, but that one is more tenuous because he's supposed to be the guy to not do anything, so. Faust nodded lightly, as though to say that I did. I stopped hesitating, and the tick-tocking noise came to a stop. Very well then. However, I cannot help but admit that I felt some degree of anxiety as I watched Don Quixote walk away, as though nothing had happened.
끝인가?
Let's go. Look at all those papers.
놓쳤어. 이 분노가
Hierarchy.
거지.
Well, now that that's over and done with, I would like the sinners to come gather around here. Hohenheim placed the sinners in a single file before him and began. Now, the regular checkup is complete. We finally have enough data to compare your pre-employment statuses to those of your current selves. Which means... Indeed, we were able to measure your pre-employment combat capabilities as well. Oh, and what are your conclusions? Allow me to preface this by saying that there isn't much significance in establishing this particular hierarchy of power on a linear scale. Like I said, you are all equally mediocre at the present anyway, and... Oh, there's plenty of significance, alright. We've all got to know who's the big boss. While this is but a speculation on the worst case scenario, we must know which one of us has the most right and authority to lead the rest of the sinners in case our executive manager becomes, due to some unknown yet inexuberable circumstances, unavailable. Hey, that's... I don't listen to anyone weaker than I am. What if there was a reason I was the first one asked to introduce himself? Ha 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 ha. There was a burgeoning interest among the sinners to see which one of them would be the apex on the scale, were they to be measured by their strengths prior to their employment. Hey, maybe before I lost my memories, even I. Dante, don't. It is interesting how every collective has the desire to get the clear picture of the pecking order. The peaking order! The pecking order. I A negative expression of this desire may even lead to juvenile behaviors among children, for example, stealing their colleagues' lunches for meager reasons such as scoring higher than they did on a test. You're not speaking from personal experience, are you? Thus, I believe that trying to conceal the outcome of the test from you would be quite meaningless. Each of your placements in that line you are standing in signifies that very order you were so curious to know. I do not wish to waste any more breath on the subject. There's a long, long silence. The listeners all simultaneously turn to look at the person standing in the frontmost position of the line. This has to be the longest, most awkward, most loaded silence I've ever felt in my life. Much did I wish to hold shrouded in my fathoms, yet I yearned to still convey that we are all more than meets the eye. Yet there remains a certain abundance within my heart. Perhaps the tests of this day paint a picture of both of my qualities. Thus spoke I, ye sang. Ye sang. Oh, place trust in the faith that all of you shall one day sprout wings as I have. Ye sang, it's the other way around. Ah, yes, the line was made from my point of view. From here, the sinner's wielding that over. I can't talk, I swear. From here, the sinner wielding that oversized lance is the one at the front of this line. Well, you said some cool words, though. We got this, right, Yisai? Well, 'tis quite the bashful occasion, ahem, to be the center of such fervent attention of one such company. I wouldn't say fervent is the right word. Worried, maybe. I shall be vigilant. No one seemed to have any objections or doubts about who was the strongest sinner, or who the strongest singer was, given the earlier event. On second thought, it appears that it would be best if we left the command to Ishmael as we have done so far. Otis mumbled through gritted teeth. Forsooth, I am in agreement. I am more partial to roles as a defending fixture or a squire. 'Tis oft the case that such side characters enjoy greater popularity since time immemorial. Very happy to see that this discussion not coming down to blows. Now, are we all ready to move on from this? Wait a minute. Aren't we all forgetting something pretty important? That's just how the world works, Greg. No one remembers anyone between the first place and the last place. I even forgot my own placement in the order. No, I mean, fellas, I wasn't even a part of the list. Oh, were you not? Who cares, mate? There's 12 of us. Some people just fall out of the radar. Big deal. Let's just get on with it. Hey, you can't just disregard me like swatting away a fly. I guess somewhere around my level, probably, or Heathcliff's. Ishmael replied in a voice that had clearly lost all interest in this discussion. You're the sinner with that bizarre insectoid arm. We had no choice but to place you in the least favorite category of all researchers. Exceptions. They really hate that, huh? In other words, you are a unique case that cannot be well placed in a list or a scale. To do so would be irresponsible. I'd say you carry a certain potential. That potential is it? Does that mean I can also be first place if all goes well? It could be very well the reverse, given the definition of potential. Listen, let not this query harrow your mind, Gregor. Your day will come. Feels funny getting consoled by the guy who placed last. Oop. Potential man, Gregor. Yay, I get the meme now. New classification codes. After some time passed, next we must discuss the classification numbers. We have been assigning risk levels for distortions just as we have for abnormalities. The observation logs you have written for us were of great help, of course. The researcher struggled to parse the handwriting of certain sinners, however, but it was good data all the same. We once had a 3-hour debate over a letter even that bloody governess gave up on trying to fix my handwriting. Heathcliff grinned proudly and wiped the side of his nose. As you must all be aware, the current system classification numbers has a rather significant oversight. Because abnormalities were creations of the former L Corp, our classification system had to be lifted whole from their system. However, the criteria by which the former L Corp measured the risk levels was the amount of their energy production. As a correlation of sorts, it was often the case that the more aggressive abnormalities produced more energy, but their destructive capabilities were not a part of the criteria, despite the correlation. This is why certain abnormalities were assigned relatively lower risk levels, despite their potential to kill even multiple higher-ranked employees. They were an energy company at the end of the day. It makes sense that their priority would be to measure the energy output. However, here, both abnormalities and distortions must be suppressed via direct confrontation. Thus, the former L Corp's specifications system is rather incongruent with our purpose. I once heard someone say that we should be wary of people who drone on into intro. Thus, it became necessary for us to reorganize the distortions, risk levels, and classification codes. Wow, how interesting. So whose job is that going to be? I am rather taken aback by the naivety with which you asked me that question. Us, it's us, sinners without the right to refuse, was it? Wait a sec, aren't you just offloading your own work onto us? A privilege given to the researchers. Oi, don't be so ignorant, yeah? This is all just in order to research the distortions, right? We gotta... The other way around, assistant. We've got to do the research into distortions in order to solve them better. It's elementary shite. Hohenheim's really got you wrapped around his finger, you know that? According to the LCD on-site investigation and reasoning team leader, the progression of a distortion is much like that of a disease. The fate of an abnormality awaits at the end of the distortion phenomenon, after all. When a distortion progresses into an abnormality, all pre-existing individuality is erased, replaced with the totality of an abnormality. Thus, it is important to bring back a distortion that has already transformed. Thus, it is impossible to bring back a distortion that is already transformed into an abnormality. It will no longer have the reversibility that they once had in the distortion phase. So, a distortion like that Time Ripper fellow will eventually become an abnormality too, if left untouched. If you're referring to the subject HE7 PI 2001, then yes. This is simply a prediction, of course, because that particular subject isn't contained here. I cannot say with absolute certainty that its progression into an abnormality will be observed. A correct assessment. Oh, didn't Limbus Company collect the Time Ripper? We hoped we would, but T-Corp was very adamant about their claim over the entity, to the point where they refused to even sit at the negotiation table. I found their time-ripping ability quite fascinating, but sometimes I must know when to cut my losses, I suppose. Wait, so that HE something is a new classification code format? Indeed, because it is difficult to identify and observe the origin and shape of a distortion, we decided to forego that information and instead replace them with their sin affinities and the expected damage scale. Sin affinities, PI, must be Progera sloth. It appears that the classification now mimics the classification of the Pectula. They do indeed follow the same thought process, if we were being technical here. I wouldn't say it mimics it. It would be more accurate to say that as the Pectula are at once the origins of the distortion phenomenon and its byproduct, infinities can be transferred one-to-one. What's the expected damage scale? Combat capabilities, I'm guessing? I remember them saying that the risk levels were determined based on the enkephalin production rates, which is not the most meaningful information to us who have to fight them directly. It was a tad inconvenient to put a nebulous idea like combat capabilities into a singular numerical scale of power, Certain entities have idiosyncrasies and variables that may make such a linear measure quite meaningless. So, instead, we decided to measure the expected amount of damage that Limbus Company personnel might suffer should they engage these entities in battle. While this Time Ripper possesses very little threat against the Sinners due to their idiosyncrasies, the unique nature of their weapon means they can immediately deal a nigh-fatal blow to anyone from the LCC department with a single strike. This is why this distortion was given a rather high expected damage scale of 6, from a scale of 1 to 10. Please do note that this is not a perfect system, and these values are there only as reference. Will this standard be applied to abnormalities as well? We have plans to do so, yes. Risk levels and expected damage scales will be coming before their classification codes. Speaking of which, I have something to show you all. What is it? What else other than the monolith? One with the highest possible potential value among Limbus Company's businesses. Thus, the development of transportation, management, and processing methodologies of the monolith is a glowing achievement indeed. The artifact, by its very nature, poses a great danger. I hesitate to embrace its use so willingly. A great danger? But wouldn't you say that we are beset by danger at all sides? The arbitrariness in deciding how dangerous something is comes from the degree to which it poses a risk. As you must already know, the monolith here is a device that can force a distortion. It is scattered throughout the city, just like the golden bow, at first only in possession of the fingers and the syndicates of the back streets, to now being collected by companies both large and small and nameless, like a plague. We also learned that they have become rather high priority targets for some wings out there. As luck would have it, we managed to begin our research expedition and collection of the monoliths much earlier than the others. Now we are already at the stage in which we may partake in the processing and sales of these artifacts, expanding our business ventures. You could say that we narrowly avoided the very unsavory fate of having to tussle with the wings of for the possession of these artifacts, which we may have had to confront the wings directly were that the case. Asking out of pure curiosity here. What would happen if we were ever assigned a city level threat? Assigned a city threat level. Ishi, how about we don't ask questions we don't ever want to find out the answers to? I mean, what if we, due to some contractual shenanigans, end up going against the associations? I think it'd be a good thing to know ahead of time, just in case. Seems like a question worth entertaining to me. Let's see, from Canner to Star of the City. I suppose your assignment will be somewhere between Urban Plague and Urban Nightmare. Not SOC yet, are we? It almost sounds as if you want to be given a threat level. It is true that you, upon first sight, due to your revival powers and the potential of the identity technology, may appear to pose a rather troublesome risk. However, you have a very clear and obvious weakness. Indeed, all of our advantages will be moot upon the manager's death. Hohenheim slowly turns around to look at me, prompting Faust and the other sinners to follow suit. What if we protected them, though? I am impressed by your optimism, given the kinds of enemies you have faced thus far. We don't even need to go so far back in time to discuss the incident with the fixers Siegfried or Big Brother Ricardo I read from your reports. Should the third sinner suddenly seek to attack the manager with her full might, do you truly believe the rest of you would be enough to protect them? No, the flow of this world is that the manager will be preserved, that no such thing may come to pass. That's enough, Hohenheim. Any further divulgence and Faust will open a disciplinary committee to discuss the consequences of your careless words. Not there yet, are we? Very well. Whichever is the case, you do have the potential to become a Star of the City threat some time in the future. But do remember that it would be best if you could avoid that unfortunate designation. And please, don't forget that it's only true so long as you have limited company backing. Going rogue, fuck you. He hates you. gonna take a small break. So we'll be right back. And then we'll do the dungeon. Yippee! I'm back. We Last mission time, let's go. After I get all these. Yeah, I know. Shut up, game. We're almost done with the regular checkup. Finally, we have a chance for you to overcome an adversity based on what you have learned thus far, and for me to prove my hypothesis. What hypothesis is he talking about? No need to worry, my hypotheses have never been wrong, most of the time. This experiment is entirely of my own design and supervision, and I will faithfully follow my own pure curiosities and instincts as a researcher. Guys, I have a feeling we're not gonna like where this goes. Now, do you see this monolith here? Yep, I do. That's a monolith, alright, but don't worry. My researchers will be the ones to activate the artifact. Activate the artifact? Not on you. Relax. I understand that none of you would be willing to participate in this experiment. I swear, if you're going to force us to distort saying that we have no right to refuse or something, I'm gonna... Yeah, hang on. I can't let you do that, even as your assistant. Yes, but if you must, we are willing to send the weakest sinner among us for... forget I said that. That was foolish of me to say. I will be the subject of the experiment myself. You're going to distort yourself? Am I hearing that right? Aren't you curious to see what kind of distortion you'd end up becoming? I'm sure this is a question you'd have all entertained at least once. No, I ain't curious. It ain't a very pleasant experience either. Stop gripping your teeth like that, assistant. It will have an adverse effect on your long-term dental health. What if you just end up turning into a pecatulum? You could end up becoming a pecatulum, just another one of the fodder we slaughter on our way through for the tests earlier. You're risking that? It is indeed a possibility. It would signify nothing more than my very own limitations. Just a mediocre shell. If such an incident comes to pass, these employees will transport me to a containment unit. We even made a bet on what kind of pecatulum I would turn into. He bet on Gula, I on Invardi, and her on Pigatai. I can never pronounce the pecatulum names correctly, but how could you think about it like this? If I were to become a pecatula, it would be akin to losing at a game of chance. Of course, what counts as a loss may depend on what I, at the precise time, consider to be losing, but the mere fact of turning into a pecatulum relieves me of any value to life. I'd say he was being too hard on himself, but that felt like too simple an expression to describe his tone. The company would most likely attempt to transport me to a containment unit, but I disagree with that decision. I would like to ask you to dispose of me on the spot. I am well aware that I am not the kind of congenital person who earns others' favors at first meeting, if at all. I also don't believe that our brief relationship has been the most amicable of kind. Therefore, I see little reason why you would hesitate to cut me down. Of course, sinners with gentle hearts like this young Sinclair here may express certain distaste against this decision. But once I become a pecatulum, it may as well mean that Hohenheim, the entity, has ceased to be. So I hope no unnecessary emotions like guilt cloud your judgment in killing the pecatulum. I'm your byproduct. But what if something unexpected happens? We're talking about your life here. Don't you have any manuals with backup plans or... This is a very simple matter. Nothing more than a coin flip. Heads or tails. It appears that you are still insisting on your absurd 50-50 theory. I am a researcher who wishes to humiliate the field of mathematical statistics, unlike the general lay of the academia. I believe there is a certain romanticism to research. It is much more exciting to run as many tests and gain as many samples as we can than to be stuck behind a desk, poring day and night over books and papers, isn't it? If it's tails, then you may dispose of me immediately, and the employees here will take care of the rest. Don't forget to destroy the key inside the coat pocket and the files inside my cabinets, for example. Yes, we remember. If I were to successfully destroy it, we would be halfway to success. For the first time, I am feeling quite the envy for you all. I wish I could be a witness to my very own distortion. Huh? If you've been paying attention to my lectures, perhaps you could even come up with a classification code for my distortion too, going by the standard we have discussed earlier. Not that I have a very high expectation that you would. And recently come to a realization that people nodding along to my words is not a signifier of comprehension, but instead of expression of societal niceties. Nods. Then the manager here will open the entrance to my dungeon of the fathoms, and you will progress through the mirror dungeon as you have always done when facing a distortion, to reach into its deepest fathoms to face my distortion once again. I wish you the best of luck in your suppression efforts. Hexasection. And once you've made it that far, it is likely you will find me unconscious, or if luck would have it, consciousness. Unconscious? Are you sure this is safe? A degree of case-by-case variance is to be expected. It may take some time for a full recovery, but it will happen should you succeed. That reminds me, that's how this bamboo-hatted Kim was brought back as well. Bamboo-hatted Kim? He's recovered? He is safely contained within our facilities. Oh, boo. It seems they are ready to activate the monolith. I am confident that even I, as a distortion, will be quite the exceptional specimen. Hang on, just like that? You're not a Pecatillum. Indeed, and I can still hear them. Yes, I remember. I still do. I know he'll back. Gosh, this is pretty unnerving. Don't worry, we'll bring him back, no matter what. The manager says that we will bring him back, no matter what. Sure sounds like a dependable sort, this manager of yours. Very well, please take a look at this. Is this a note? Did he write us tips on how to do this or something? He says that all you have to do is read what's on that note in front of his distortion. Apparently some kind of code? I don't think he'll hear anything but ticking noises from me. Can you read this, Mersault? It will be done as you command. Mersault nodded and began to read the words from the note out loud. Lobotomy Corporation, 5 minutes. Potentiality, anticipation, right hand. The moment Mersault uttered them, the all too familiar portal began to appear around Hohenheim's distortion, as though they were a key to a door. Scattering shards of familiar yet alien sights appeared interminably beyond the simmering veil. Hohenheim had already entered the portal as we stood there gawking, but we could still hear his voice echoing through the laboratory. I suppose I'll be forced to share my past here. The past I never wanted to share, the past no one cares to learn about. It is something I must endure for the sake of this experiment. However, I needn't expose every little detail of it. This looks so cool. It's all in the past now anyway, isn't it? That looks so cool. I love it. Yes. Zoomed in. Holy. Oh, this is really long. Hohenheim's Fathom. We're at the starting point of the Dungeon of Fathoms. We found ourselves in a room that appears to be a workshop for ego gear. If you have scored below 100% synchronization rate in the aptitude test, take only a single ego from here. An ominous warning sign greets us all, and the same words repeat ceaselessly from the speaker. The sinners all go to take a look, enticed by the sign telling us that we can pick up ego gears here, but what we find there are ego gifts. What? These aren't ego gears. These are them gifts or something, right? It appears that ego are manifest here in the shape of ego gifts. Can't we just take them all? This is a dungeon of the Fathoms. As it differs from the usual mirror dungeons, it is highly advisable that its rules are followed. What should we do? Flaming Gauntlet. Take the combat boots with spiky bits on them. Take the cleaning solution spray. I'll take cleaning solution spray. This one seems best suited for the situation we're in. We take the Illusory Hunt Ego Gift. It's cleaning spray? Oh, that makes sense. Illusory Hunt earned. So zoomed in. Holy.
착수.
Reminder everyone, we have ads in about 5 minutes. If we're in a story bit, we will pause. What's going on with them? Good, it appears that I can censor these with my own will, at least to a degree. Your mission here is to classify my distortion, reach the end of this dungeon of the Fathoms, and bring me back. Your mission, however, does not involve digging into my past. It appears that we have a passing familiarity with the place. You Us. What is it that they seek to convey? I don't believe any level of proper communication will be feasible given that you are in a dungeon of the Fathoms. Well, then do something about it. I regret to tell you that the setting of this dungeon is out of my hands. Had it been up to me, I would have manifested a place that was much more fascinating than this. Like the library, fabled to have every book in existence. You used to work for the Lobotomy Corporation? One of the many past. In one of my past careers, yes. Us. Diplomacy did not seem to be an option there. The censored people brandished their weapons, threatening and stood in our path. Looks like we're going to have to take them down if we want to make any progress here. It can't be helped. Let's get ready for a fight. Is it slightly more yellow when Hohenheim's talking? What are these supposed to be is the thing. Oh, this music's so cool.
대가리 딱 떼고
그 삶의 마침표를 저들이 추풍과 같이 흔들려 보다 유리하지 않겠소.
가족을 위해 내 죄는 네가 알아서
Oh, you. Ah!
꿰뚫려라.
감내해야 할
Come on.
그러니까 거기서
They're
이렇게
level
피했으면
50.
되잖아.
Come on, guys. Do better than this.
대가리 딱 떼고 꿰뚫리고 모든 걸 걷어들일 순 없었어.
이런 건 몽둥이가 약이지. 두드려 패.
우리가 우세. 서둘러 끝내보자고.
이 혈투를 승리로 이끌겠다. 가족을 위해 갈라지도록 쏟아내라.
혼자서 뭘 어떻게 한 거야? 야, 좀 그런 건 배우자. 나도.
You came across a group of researchers passionately poring over various documents. They're having a debate about two subjects: emotions and flames. Regular flames don't seem to hurt the abnormalities very much. Why does this work, I wonder? Perhaps a greater degree of wrathful emotions opens up the room for the fire's heat to touch abnormalities and distortions, both entities of the unknown. They must have noticed us listening to their conversation intently. One of them approaches us with a glint in their eye. Are you the sample who's agreed to this experiment? If so, try this on. In the researcher's hands was what looked like an ignition plug or a testing machine of sorts. I have one thing that applies burns. We're gonna sit on this for the full 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Welcome back, everybody, from the ad break on Twitch. We picked to do the thing and we succeeded at it. Oh, what an interesting reaction. Decent synchronization rate as well. Maybe the researcher liked what they saw. After scribbling their observation into various papers, the researcher let Rodin go. Rodin took off the gear and presented it before the researcher returned it, but they simply shook their head in response. The gear seems to fit you perfectly. Take it with you. Reignition plug earned. Selected ID healed for 30 SP and HP.
이런 건 이발사나 신부에게 시켜.
Ignition plug. Base attack skills that inflict burn count deal 20% more damage and inflict an extra burn count. And hit with skills against enemies with burn or unique burn inflict defense level down. Identities whose all base attack skills inflict burn potency count or unique burn at turn start gain offense level up equal to the number of surviving turns, except for the turn they joined the encounter, max 5. Thank you for the hydrate. I need to go get a drink because I'm smart. Hold on. back. I got water. There you go. There's your hydrate. There's your hydrate xenomorph.
피를 머금을 시간이네.
So, how do we know this guy's actually distorted? It doesn't sound any different from his usual self. The sanity degradation due to distortion affects every subject differently. I mean, yeah, but censoring his own fathoms? But Hohenheim, you're in a dungeon of the fathoms. We will see through it with Dante's power, whether you want to show us or not. You make a fair assessment. How about this, then? If you are to see them anyway, allow me to save you the trouble and give you a quick rundown instead. Come visit me as soon as you finish watching my tale. This tale began when the man walked into my laboratory. Yes, I had a personal laboratory all to myself. One of the few perks of being an elite researcher. This guy's just telling the story however he wants to, isn't he? Mr. Hohenheim. Let me think. I don't quite remember what he looked like. Something like this, perhaps? Whatever is the case, I was planning to censor his appearance anyway. Hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. Stop. Are you here to express your displeasure with me? The what now? If you are, do let me know from the get-go. I had a feeling it was about time this would happen. 3 months. Not a bad record for working without a workplace conflict. Oh, if this is about quitting, then you would find a much better audience among the human resource team. No, I mean, I'm just here to thank you for picking me, some dude from the back streets, to work here. I heard it was you who made the hiring decision. I don't know how to put this, but you're the only one who saw my, my potentiality. You saw something that no one cared to look into before. You know what I mean? But it had nothing to do with something so grandiose like his potentiality. A wing does not hire people from the back streets for something so insignificant. While this information has never been publicly available, Bombing Corporation's primary citrion was trauma. Candidates with horrible, insurmountable trauma were often favored by the company, and in an indirect way, it was only natural that they would begin to favor candidates who originate from the back streets. Your greetings were acknowledged, Jimmy. Now feel free to leave my office. I ain't Jimmy. Anyway, I've been meaning to ask Mr. Hohenheim, why'd you always enjoy being alone? It may come to a surprise to you, but I am very adept at spending all my time on my own. It is one of the hundreds of distinguishing features that set me apart from ordinary men. Say, don't you need someone to be like your loyal right-hand man? My right hand is doing just fine, thank you very much. Do you believe in potentialities, Hohenheim? What an unrelenting, stubborn employee he was, even in hindsight. Thanks to you, I do. And I've been thinking, if I kept at it one day, I might even find myself living it large in a nest, changing my world little by little. Kind of like how a thing like me managed to snake a position here at Lobotomy Corporation. So I'm thinking here that I want to stick around in your circle. To bring about such drastic changes to one's life is in the realm of feasibility for an exceptional researcher like myself, indeed. But you are, like most of the rabble, painfully average in most qualities and therefore unlikely to be the moving force in that change. I have no faith in universal things like potentiality. I have faith in myself and myself alone. Besides, I am not very partial to mathematical statistics, like the probability theorem anyway. So I would like to keep both my right and left hands as my own. Have a nice day. Want to know something about me? I'm the kind of guy who doesn't really think about things. Action before deliberation, you get me? Ah, thoughtless and carefree. Possibly the only merit to be found in those who originate from the back streets. Or was that a thinly veiled threat of a physical assault? No, I'm talking about the new Abno that just got shipped here. It's a tricky one to manage, I'll tell you what. It reads your mind, screwing up all kinds of strategies or whatever, as long as it's based on hard logic. Want to shoot for the Department of the Year award together? You seem to be rather skilled in the art of transactions. One of the few merits found in those who originate from the back streets. Ha! I will admit, I suppose I was overcome by a certain ennui back then. And in hindsight, it was foolish of me to engage in such inane conversations. You... us. Ah, the remnants of my past come to haunt us. Perhaps it is I whom they truly wish to hurt. I see.
가서 할 수 있는 건 다 해보고 오라고. 저보다 한 주먹거리도 안 되는 놈들이니까.
떨거지면 잘라낸다. 으타! 더 먹어치워라. 원더풀한 선택이었어 나리. 저들의 약점이 뻔히 보이는 게로군. 기회를 잡았네. 희청이는 저들을 꺾어 넘긴다면 저들의 사기가 떨어질 것이 뻔하지. 돌격하세! 고귀하게.
That is unfortunate.
괴물을 봤다. 혹시 이런 모습이던가?
일격에 저렇게나? 실밥이 터졌네. 엎드리도록.
혼자서 뭘 어떻게 한 거야? 야, 좀 그런 건 배우자. 나도.
It's finally here, the Department of the Year award. Indeed, I have finally done it. With some minor assistance from you, of course, and some other employees. Come on, admit it. Don't you notice that a lot more employees are saying hello, good morning, and what have you to you in the hallways compared to when your reputation was a bit, you know. It's all because I'm just that good of a right-hand man. I will admit that your intuitive and spontaneous eye was of some assistance when it comes to identifying certain observations among abnormalities. This is the potentiality I was talking about, man. Same thing you saw in me when you decided to get me on board. Apologies for ruining the moment, but the next few years quickly and busily flew by without much trouble. Of course, we picked up ourselves a few more Department of the Year awards, some promotions, and some collaborative researches. Yet all things must come to an end. Infamous fall of Modern Corporation, for one. You, us. So I don't suppose you have any trouble hazarding what you're all telling me, even as the... I don't suppose you have any trouble hazarding what they're all telling me when, even as the words come out fragmented. You left us. Nothing but words of endless resentment. You left us behind. The fall of the former Elkhart. I remember that what Miss Yuri told us. The site crumbled in an instant, trapping the employees in there with the abnormalities. What does that sound? The whole structure is quaking. What the hell is... Initiating site burial in 100 seconds. Any remaining employees must immediately evacuate the structure. Counting down, 95, 94. The escape pods to the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one's in 5 minutes. Listen closely. At the risk of sounding rather callous, I must inform you that the chances of survival in cases of crisis such as this is usually granted only to a very small minority of those affected. Some who prioritize the fairness of the process may settle on primitive methods such as drawing lots to see who gets to escape. And in more barbaric groups, the survivor would be decided by none other than the rule of might. However, I am glad to find myself among those who are on the side of intelligence. So I make this suggestion before you. For yourselves, whose sole final purpose in life is to cling to your mediocre office jobs and making good on your debt payments, and me, who has produced several groundbreaking epithetical theses and research results at such an early age, whose life in your eyes is of greater worth. Yes, and that is how this tale ends. The compound collapses 90 seconds later. I left the employees of my department behind, boarded the escape pod elevator, and survived. How could you, even without even a hint of remorse? Wrath is a hideous emotion. I am here today only because I have always maintained a cold, rational head. The Elkhart branch within Hoheim's dungeon of the Fathoms began to crumble. It almost appeared as though his heart was crumbling as well. Well, now that's over with, I invite you to come face me, the distortion, and the experiment will come to an end. Just finding and defeating his distortion in a fight, I don't think that'll bring him back, just know it. I agree. We're still in deep waters here. This can't possibly be all there is to it. Delusional man spotted. We see the Fey Lantern within the containment unit. A sign-hued fairy flutters towards the weary ancient branches of the tree and softly lands on one of them. The branches seating the fairy sways as though to entice us to get closer to them. I can't press space! Bright, countless yellow eyes glimmer from the shadows beneath its roots. What a beautiful specimen, this Fey Lantern. Have you finished your observations? We've been learning a lot about this abnormality recently. There's still a lot of unknowns, but still. Speaking of which, pop quiz, what ego gift can you get from this Fey Lantern? Midwinter Nightmare. Right on the money, you know your Fey Lantern. That's not all. Recently, it's been giving out these things too. Take this with you. I'm just glad to have run into a kindred soul. You receive a bony twig. It seems to have come directly from the Fey Lantern itself. Twigs. Every time Rupture activates 3 times on an enemy with Rupture due to getting hit by allies' attack skills. Then inflict Rupture. Inflict offense level down on said enemy next turn. On a kill with base attack skills that inflicts Rupture. Blah, blah, blah. That's interesting, to say the least.
피를 머금을 시간이네.
This looks so nice, dude. I love this.
유감 없는 싸움을 기대하겠소.
고귀하게.
기대해라. 실밥이 터졌나?
아까처럼만 해. 그럼 이번 전투도 쉽게 갈 수 있을 거야.
엎드리도록.
예사롭지가 않은데? 아주 작살을 내놨어.
최고의 선택이었어.
Almost there.
관리자. 타겟 포착 1시간.
Oh. Bro just did it.
기원을 갖지 못.
That works.
그대로 무너져.
네 피분수.
That works.
어머, 부탁드려요. 여러분에게
You look so cool.
되었으면 좋겠네요.
You're gonna be an asshole.
가족을 위해.
Ah.
파도 속에서 움직일 수 있는 모습. 깨어져라. 엎드리도록. 기대해라.
나리의 속 깊은 뜻을 본인이 헤아리기엔 쉽지 않나 보네.
죄인인가?
으타! 더 먹어치워라.
벌레 말은 듣지 않다는 사람 누구야? 그쪽도 죄인인가?
따뜻한 피. 너희의 무기로 이 혈투를 승리로 이끌겠다.
그쪽도 죄인인가?
아류 산초 경혈 육시 찢겨라.
그 삶의 마침표를 마무리를.
오케이, 보인다.
Wonderful.
너희의
저들의
무기로
화만 돋군 것
이
같은데요.
혈투를 승리로 이끌겠다. 대가리 딱 떼도
At the end of this hallway, a group of researchers is having a discussion in front of an unnaturally dark place. Noticing our presence, their faces brighten up as they approach us. Please, will you investigate this area ahead of us? We will help with the best of our abilities should you accept. Investigate. I love to see some proper enthusiasm. Yes, I like your attitude. Take this with you. I'll help you in your investigation. After handing us the gear, the researchers walked up to the sinners and began examining them. Once they were finished, the sinners were all in tip-top shape again. All allies healed to full HP. Regular operation gear earned.
계획을 세워두면
Cool, thank you.
어렵지 않답니다.
Limbus Company Identity. Skill 2 gains offense level +1 and deals 15% more damage. Skill 3 gains offense level +2 and deals +3% more damage. If there are 4+ Limbus Company identities among the backup units, 2 random allies gain 2 offense level up at turn start. Interesting.
오늘도 부디 정신을 유지할 수 있기를.
We arrived at the entrance of Hohenheim's laboratory. This may be my final order to you. Either suppress me and return safe and sound to where you came from, or fail the suppression, place me in a containment unit, and perhaps we can observe what happens next. That's when Heathcliff suddenly strode forward. Hohenheim, do you still believe in that potentiality? I do. It's what keeps me going. You only hire researchers from the back streets, don't you? I heard from him earlier. They told me that you're a right pompous bloke, and thanks to you, they can continue to research and believe that there might be things in the world that's worth working towards. Hmm.
가서 할 수 있는 건 다 해보고 오라고. 저보다 한 주먹거리도 안 되는 놈들이니까.
This is so fun.
상담은 나중으로 하지. 지금은 그럴 여유가 없고.
Ooh, this is good. This music's good.
어떤 말도 할 수 없어.
자, 빌어보세. 이 돌이 기꺼이 그대에게 가서 맡기를. 자, 으타! 먹어 치워라.
Oh, it doesn't come up here. It comes up after it's being used. Okay. I see. Hmm.
우리 위에 내려질 것이다.
이만하면 순항이죠. 바람도 딱 좋네.
타겟 포착 1시 방향.
그저 하염없이 모든 피를 그래, 그렇게 황홀히 피어나고 피어나고 피어나라.
3. Oh. 4. Ah.
자! 먼저 끝내고 돌아오는 친구는 맛있는 거 사줄게. 물론 회사 카드로.
Only up to 4. Trigger extinction sequence. Consume half of poise. Gain poise potency final power. Deal plus sum of consumed poise potency count % more damage. Plus sum of consumed poise potency and count % more damage on crit. Reduce the remaining poise by half. If they took no HP damage this turn, guarantee a crit. User took HP damage last turn, does not crit, instead deals minus 80% less damage.
고귀하게. 자!
다음 세상으로 넘어가려면 자, 여기구나.
Let's go, Hanglu, good job.
해야 할 고통.
What plagues your mind, manager? Your suppression efforts seem to be smooth sailing. Exactly as you've seen, manager. Save for a few parts that were censored, I concealed nothing from your view. I don't believe I've committed any wrong by escaping that place alone, leaving the others to be buried there. Of course, it may be reprehensible from a moral standpoint, but why would anyone ever look at it from that perspective, manager? Especially when you are well aware that, in the city, such a perspective is entirely irrelevant and worthless. I can feel his gaze on me. Like he said, this suppression is going well, but this feels wrong. That it shouldn't end like this. What should I tell him? What is Holm trying to hide from us? There's another side to your story. This is that story you've told me. Boss relayed my words to Hohenheim. Another side of my story, is it? Indeed, indeed, that is quite feasible. You are correct. That another side is what oft gets lost in the process of observing overspun spacious concepts like the fathoms and the heart. Speaking from a consequential point of view, perspective provided by one's memory is narrow by nature. Even in the fathoms, the deepest part of one's heart, where many believe lies nothing the empirical absolute truth, we are still capable of lying. Fascinating, isn't it? They call it metacognitive error. Some call it unconscious bias as well. I see. You argue that the story I have shown you is simply a fabrication. Indeed, I have not shared any perspectives from my employees, but there is no way by which we may verify them anyway. Isn't it obvious why that is? They're all buried underground, bereaved even of their final words. I could finally understand, at least to a degree, what Virgilius and Don Quinn have been telling me. Though there is nothing to call a human face remaining in this distorted form. I think I caught a glimpse of loneliness from Hohenheim's expression. Self-doubt. What did it change to? That was the siphon effect. Target, turn start, lose 15 HP, siphon 5 from target's higher SP than this unit. In ascending order of SP cannot stack on the same target. Does not activate if Hohenheim is panicked. Okay, that's much better.
상담은 나중으로 하지. 지금은 그럴 여유가 없고.
That's fine.
환상의 세계로 들어가보죠.
This is a positive. Still goes up. Won a clash.
산초류 경을 온 라샹. 끝을 낼 시간이.
Got the last one.
감동적이지 않을 수 없네. 해결사 연인기에 이런 적이 있었지. 자, 어떤 상황이 닥쳐도 포기하지 마세라. 저들의 공격은 우리의 투지를 꿰뚫을 수 없을 테니.
대가리 딱 떼도.
저택을 안내해주지.
좋아, 얼른 끝내고 밥 먹으러 가자고.
All single coins, which is interesting too.
타겟 포착 1시 방향.
아류 산초 경을 육시. 느껴라.
Ah, crap.
최선을 다해보자. 아니, 방금 벌레 말은 듣지 않다는 사람 누구야?
떨거지나 잘라낸다. 아류스탄 투평열 80. 갈라지도록.
지금이다. 대골바가지 거미 대가리. 자!
There we go. Get staggered, idiot. Ha ha ha.
슬픔에 흔들린 마음 이렇게 터져버리죠.
Seems like there's something else you would like to tell me. Very well, you may go ahead and ask. I'm prepared to answer any of your questions. I reveal Hohenheim's gaze lingering on me. What should I say this time? Was Hohen trying to hide? You're running away from something. Running away? An interesting point. But allow me to retort. My choice was not to run away. To deny and evade what has happened to me pathologically a choice, isn't it? I am very well aware that the only way to solve a problem is to face it head on, which is another aspect of myself that sets me apart from the common man. When an issue arises, or in very rare cases where I too find myself in a terminal of emotional nature, I first attempt to establish a logical explanation. I reconstruct what was perceived and regulate my emotions. Expressing fury and anger is a pale waste of resources. But I must admit one thing, now that I have conducted some level of cold introspection. I will admit that it wasn't entirely mature of me to censor so much of my fathoms. Of course, this does not mean that I will now remove the censored memories. My ego is not so feeble as to be shaken by a few words. I didn't really understand most of what Hohenheim was talking about, but I can't shake this thought that everything he's been saying was just an effort to distance himself from his own emotions. Inadequate defense mechanism.
저거 봐. 쟤 휘청거리고 있다.
따뜻한 엎드리도록.
마침표를
적확한 한압이었어.
앞. 기거해라. 완벽한 한방. 시원한 걸.
The escape pods to the surface are here, but there's only one seat left. They're saying that the next one's in 5 minutes. Look, I don't actually believe you hired me because you saw my potential or something like that. But I want to believe that you found the hope and potentialities because of me. I hope in anticipation that we can make things better as long as we keep at it. I can't leave you all behind. I can't just save my skin without everyone. This is what a right-hand man does, isn't it? Take my potentiality you found and rise. Take it with you to the surface. But you, Johan, what about you? Well, maybe next time, some other time. Wrath is a hideous emotion. This is why I did nothing at the entrance of that branch. Only remembering, nothing more. Remembering the ones I've left behind. I can sense the dungeon of the Fathom slowly beginning to close. Sometime later. I've returned, safe and sound. Welcome back, boss. To be frank, I once wished to be someone like yourself, Heathcliff. What are you talking about? We don't want Heathcliff to be like Heathcliff. Because it's not easy to put my faith not in games of numbers, but in those slimmest possibilities of the world, and continue to exist. I know it's not very befitting of a researcher to do so, but it is quite the romantic attitude for a human to embody, is it not? Well, the experiment is over. It was a huge success, all thanks to us, right? No, it was a failure. I'd established this hypothesis that the sole answer was to hold a firm belief in the self, and nothing else. Had my hypothesis been correct, I would have remained a distortion. Thus, I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you. Thank you for making me fail. Seems that the classification for my distortion was HE5SU. Disappointingly mediocre, but I won't suppose it can be helped. The world is a place where we must find the ray of potential among the mediocre after all. Let us move on now. Mephistopheles is prepared to depart. Hohenheim's researchers waved at us. We'll meet again, right? Ew, no thank you. Everything has an end, so do consider this to be our final meeting. Down to the last exchange, this guy. The last thing we saw before the portal activated was the LCE researchers pushing up their glasses in our general direction. Though I'd only taken a step or two, the entire world around us seemed to transform, landing us back inside the transportation instrument. Now that I think about it, we'd even got to learn why Gregor's bones made those We didn't even get to learn why Gregor's bones made those cracking noises. All we learned from this experiment is that the sinners have all become mediocre, but they each held certain possibilities within themselves. Each of us mulling over the events of the LCE, we returned to the bus where Charon and Virgilius were waiting for us. Yippee! Did it! Is there one more? No. Cool. Did it. Well, thanks everybody for coming by. Yeah, thanks for coming by. The YouTube people, I have nothing special for you, but Twitch, let's see. I don't want that, thank you. Nobody. That's annoying. Well. So this will do. You're not getting ads because you're gonna get buns instead. Go have fun. Blah blah now. Ah.